She thought it was a boy. After all, there's no reason to doubt what the good doctor said. She did want a boy, very, very much. But that can't be the full reason behind her emotional uproar. To understand that fully, we have to go much further back. My mama was a young revolutionary. She was the eldest of 7 in a fledgling working-class family. They'd settled what was then a rural part of Shanghai called Pudong. Great-grandma ran a small tofu shop, and Mama recalls going there after school and taking the leftover soybean grinds and feeding the chickens and the pigs. China was ravaged by war and poverty at the time. Her own parents came to Hong Kong first as migrant workers looking for a better life and brighter future. My grandpa was a traditional Shanghainese tailor, able to sew a complete qipao all from scratch. Mama would join them later, but quickly had to start work as a child laborer in what was then the garment factories of 1960s Hong Kong. She was 13 at the time, and they all squeezed 3 to a bunk and the rest on the floor in their 70-square-foot subdivided flat. But on top of being a natural leader, Mama was also an apt entrepreneur. While sewing on the factory floor, she got to know the words of all the songs that came on the radio, and she'd sing along. At night, she'd take all the sequins that she'd sewn so delicately, put them on these fabulous dresses, snuck backstage to some of the fabulous entertainment venues of the day, and tried to sell them to the performers. She got some good orders. On one such evening, she was there working away at the makeup table when the phone rang. The stage manager went and picked up. It was the singer scheduled to perform next. She'd lost her voice. She had to phone in sick. The stage manager was outraged and desperate. Looking around, he saw my mother. Quickly, he ran to her. Ying Ying, I've heard you singing on occasion along. Whatever you're working on that dress, half finished, doesn't matter. Put it on, you're up next. Well, my mama looked at the stage manager and, okay, she said, off I go. And on stage she went. She opened her mouth. The most melodic sounds came out. Turned out to be a hit with the regulars. Being at the right place, at the right time, with the right skills, transformed her future. And from there, she had entered the entertainment industry. I'm, of course, full of admiration for my mama, who had the face of an angel and the guts of a rocket launcher. But the biggest source of conflict between us remains the fact that I am a lesbian, and she finds that very, very disturbing. I knew I liked girls from a very young age, as young as 2, in fact, and probably before I could articulate much in terms of language. When my mama traveled the world on these elaborate stages, singing her songs, she would also always bring home these little pink dresses for me to wear. I would storm and cry and refuse to wear them, preferring always to wear Daddy's baseball caps and play with his soap and brush shaving kit. When I was 13, I started dating girls. It didn't take Mama long to sniff out what was going on. One night, she banged on the door of my room. She said, Gigi, I demand to know what's going on. She demanded to know what was going on with that girl that was just in my room prior to her banging. There was no way around it. I decided to come out to her there and then. I said, Mama, that girl that was just here, I love her. At That moment, she must have felt the sky come crashing down. Not the best at verbalizing her vulnerabilities, she expressed her guilt and helplessness the only way she knew how, and that was through banging her head against the wall, such that objects from the cupboard literally came flying down. Needless to say, that was a traumatic coming out experience. You should think that I would forever want to hide in the closet and never come out ever again. Turns out, coming out to my dad is even more difficult. Of course, Mama phoned him up straight away after that episode and said, "Cecil, Gigi's a lesbian." My daddy's response was, "Nah, that can't be possible." And that was that. Daddy's expressed publicly countless times that marriage is not for him. But for his little girl, she ought to get married. And so when I was 32 and in a stable relationship of 7 years, I decided to try again. This time, got out my iPad, showed father some photos of me and my partner then, and I told him, "I'm in a happy relationship, Daddy. I'd like to give some sort of assurance, stability for my partner." He looked at the photos and could only say, "This is very, very wrong." He made me promise that I should tell no one. This was to remain a secret. Don't whisper it to a soul. I agreed. That went well for about 6 months. However, within 6 months, my partner and the response by father made her burst at the seams. She was bursting to tell people. So who better to tell but the Hong Kong press? So very soon, Daddy started getting phone calls from local press, inundated, inquiries about our relationship. He was probably in a panic. And he thought, "Oh, poor Gigi, she's hopeless. She's too hardworking and has probably no prospects of finding a half-decent husband now, not on her own. Why don't I do something for her? Dip into my savings and try to buy her one. How about $1 billion Hong Kong dollars? That should do it." And on the news that came out, who would have thought that his promise of mansions and $1 billion Hong Kong dollars was something that over 10,000 suitors would actually find attractive? Everybody's very interested to know about these so-called love letters that I get from complete strangers all the way across the world. Well, to be honest, they're not very romantic and can hardly actually be called love letters at all. To most men in the world, I am their ticket out of poverty. And the letter usually says, "Hey, hi Gigi, you're so beautiful. Never mind about that. Here's how we'll split the money." I will only be getting very little, in fact. But you do have to fund my amazing invention. And all this, and I want to buy this plot of land in my home province, etc., etc. There were some that just wanted a little bit of money to buy medicines for their sick child. This whole episode really awoke in my eyes to what the landscape was like and what everyone thought of LGBTI rights, especially some of the early ones that were really quite unpleasant. Along the lines of, "Oh, celebrating your relationship is disgusting," and promoting acceptance of homosexuality, well, that will turn kids gay. I thought about that. And if you could change someone's sexual orientation through acceptance, you should wonder why there are gay people in the world at all. I mean, my parents have been trying to turn me straight for 28 years, and here I am, still lesbian. But there is good news. My daddy, after so many years, have finally turned around And now he's expressed acceptance of the relationship between me and my girlfriend, Jenny. The Netherlands celebrated 30 years of recognition of same-sex relationships. And good news is, roughly the same number of straight people still form their population. So no, acceptance of gay people hasn't turned everyone gay and spawned the end of human civilization. On the contrary, same-sex marriage seems to save lives. In a recent study in Scandinavia, it was found out that the legal acceptance of same-sex marriage lowers suicide rates for LGBTI people by a whopping 46%. That seems to confirm previous studies in the US that said the legalization of same-sex marriage not only lowers suicide rates for LGBTI, but for straight people as well. In that case, straight teenagers by 7%. We're talking about young kids, teenagers in school, so they're not in a rush to get married immediately, but something about the prospect of a more equal society and equal rights really gives young people hope for the future. In Taiwan, research has indicated that homosexuals without the recognition of same-sex marriage showed a higher prevalence of depression and low self-esteem. I was touched when I read the study, and there was a young victim of domestic abuse. Her words were, "It doesn't matter. Society doesn't accept who I love. They don't want to know about it. My family doesn't accept who I love. They don't want to hear about it. And since who I love doesn't matter, it must mean that I don't matter." It's very simple. If I had to live closeted and in secret about my love life all the time, it's very, very difficult to form fair, compassionate, equal relationships. In fact, you would be rather desperate and tend to cling on to the first person that seemed willing to love you. I've done it. No matter how disruptive and unhappy the relationship, I might just be willing to endure it. For the alternative, a lifetime of loneliness in a dark, dank closet might just seem too much. After all, aren't we all after the same things? That is, permission to love and be loved. In Hong Kong, a city that 7.5 million people call home, there's no freedom to marry for people like me. Statistically, we are 700,000. So if you can picture that, that's about the population of whole of Central to Western and the entire Sai Kung. All of these people, 700,000 of us, are denied marriage. We live in the closet, most of us. We wake up, put our clothes on just like everybody else, go to work, after work, go home, back into our rooms. And the whole time, we are in the closet and nobody knows about our love life. If I had a row with my girlfriend, I would have to fix myself up and look cheery and sprig before going home in case Mama and Daddy might find out something was amiss. But imagine if there was marriage equality in Hong Kong. Why, that would all change, because I no longer have to hide in the closet and be ashamed of who I love. Does that mean I could date openly? Does that mean I could actually be a dignified person and not have to fit into society's little molds of perfect heterosexual couple with 2.4 rosy children? Yes, it means I am who I am, a lesbian, and that's okay because I also deserve to be loved. I am committed and I am determined, and I will not stop until we win marriage equality. Others before me has done the same. 27 jurisdictions, including New Zealand, South Africa, Taiwan, our friends earlier last year. But importantly, also a mighty Catholic country, the Republic of Ireland, that we know as Ireland. They voted for marriage equality by landslide victory in a referendum. They voted for marriage equality not in spite of their religion, but because of it. Because gays and lesbians are our uncles, our aunties, our parents, our brothers and sisters. They're our family, and we don't turn our backs on family. Religion precisely teaches us acceptance and love, even when it's difficult, even when circumstances are poor. Religion has been one of the most hurtful ways that gays and lesbians, transgender, has been excluded from the community, excluded from family and its traditions and its lineages. I myself have experienced it when I go to some churches and they ask me to put our hands together like this and we form a circle. Gigi, let's pray. Let's pray together to God to remove your homosexuality, to remove that which offends God, remove that which is offensive to him. Pray away the gay. Seems to me that in circumstances like this, it is clear that marriage equality is urgent and important, because a bunch of minorities could never have won these 27 jurisdictions if we just got together and tried to fight it on our own. We need allies. We need straight people to lead the way. We need straight allies to show what it means to be accepting and to create a safe space for everybody to come out and live to their full potential, such that human development can thrive in all its complexity and diversity. Hey, marriage, it's not easy. In-laws tend to be crazy, and they have their own ideas about what they don't like about you. But beyond just living together and being in love, marriage is actually so much more. In a recent Hong Kong case, the judge in his judgment said, marriage is perhaps the most sensitive of human relationships, a matter of status, a status conferred not upon the couple by themselves, but as recognized by society. It is precisely for this reason that marriage is so important, because it's honest and unambiguous. When a straight person says, hey, this is my girlfriend, we usually immediately know what he means. When I say, hey, this is my girlfriend, they say, oh yes, best buddies, right? Go shopping together, watch sitcoms together. No, I mean, this is my partner. Partner, like business partner. Like tennis partner, do projects together. No, away with the euphemisms. I want her to be my wife. Someone to be part of my family. Someone to spend Christmas dinners together. Chinese New Year together. Someone to grow old with in sickness and in health. Let's take a stand for marriage equality so that everybody can celebrate marriage in its full capacity, warts and all.